Hello everyone, this is Evan, also known as BlazikenTCG, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today guys, I'm going to be doing a quick tournament recap for the Las Vegas Regional Championship, where I piloted Gardevoir EX to a top 256 finish out of 2,919 players. In this video, I will be going over the deck list I decided to play, as well as how my matchups went. And yeah. Also, I do apologize that this video is so late. I know the tournament was like 2 weeks ago almost, but I had a lot of school to catch up on when I came back, and then I've been sick the past few days. So yeah. Anyways, here is the list that I decided to play. I decided to play the Drifloon Bravery Charm build of Gardevoir rather than the Jellicent because I felt like it gave me a better matchup spread against the Dark type decks in the format. And other than that, it's just a pretty standard Gardevoir list. The only standout inclusion is the Energy Switch rather than the Professor Turo. The logic being that the Energy Switch does a similar thing, which is to play out of the Yveltal retreat lock strategies against stuff like Grimmsnarl and Absol Box. So basically, your line in those matchups is to just attack with Fez, and then it can also be good to get two Adrena Brains out of one energy attachment. So here's the list I played. Shout out to Tegan Hall as well, because he worked on the list with me for several weeks before the tournament. So I think we got a pretty perfect list for the tournament, I would like to say. Going back, I maybe would consider the Jellicent build a bit more, because that is what seemed to have been the better performing build into this tournament. But yeah, here were the matchups. I did not do as well as I would have liked. I had a very strong start to the tournament, I would say. I went 7-0-1 in Phase 1, and then in Phase 2 I did very poorly, as you can see. And I really did not play my best in this tournament, I would say. So really the only person I can blame for my poor finish is really just myself. Sometimes you'll have tournaments where, you just lose to variance or something like that. However, this time I think I definitely was responsible for the finish, because I definitely did have some poor variance, but I was also making mistakes that was constantly putting me in a position where I could potentially lose to variance. So I definitely could have played better. Anyways, we'll get into the matchups. Round 1, I tied to Grimmsnarl Frostlass. I was able to just prize race him game 1, and then game 2 came down to I could not find an Iono to disrupt his hand. If I had been able to find an Iono, I probably would have been able to set up a checkmate the next turn. The only way he could get out of the Iono is to find Candy Grim Boss, and since I was not able to Iono him, he just had all of that in his hand. So I started off the tournament 0-0-1. Round 2, I hit Hop Zacian, definitely not a deck that I expected to play against. Both games were kind of the same thing, where I just, where my opponent got off to a pretty good start, taking an early prize lead, and then as the game progressed, I was able to just disrupt him with Iono and take some knockouts, and I was just able to make some pretty strong comebacks both games. So 101 at this point. Round 3, I hit Raging Bolt. Game 1, my opponent whiffed knockout for game by like 1 energy on the Raging Bolt. Both games, by the way, I had my only Curlia get knocked out very early on, so I had to play from behind both games. However, both times I was able to take the win. I think game 2, he did make a slight misplay where he benched a Hoot Hoot a turn that he didn't need to, so he was able to knock out my only Gardevoir. However, since I already had 40 on a Screamtail, I was able to just take the knockout on the Hoot Hoot. So I think I was able to kind of capitalize on a misplay. Game 2. Round 4 was against Joltik Box. Pretty favored matchup if I set up. Game 1, I was just able to set up pretty well, and I just prize raced the Joltik Box because in this matchup, they usually take the first 2 prizes. However, if I'm able to immediately respond with a knockout on the Iron Hands, they really just don't have the resources to take 4 more prizes, so the only way I can possibly lose is if they take 4 with the Iron Hands at the, start of the game before I can take a knockout, and even then, it's not a guaranteed win for them because I can still make a comeback with Iono if they don't draw the exact cards they need. So that's what happened game 1. I was just able to prize race him. Um, Game 2, I bricked pretty hard. I went Clefairy Attach Pass. My opponent then went Pikachu Attach Pass. So I benched Mew, or I top decked Mew the next turn, benched it, hit for 40. My opponent found Crispin, went Crispin Prime Catcher the Mew, benched Mawile, and attacked. So we're both bricking very hard here. Um, and then I top decked Lilies, and I was able to find like double routes Evo, and I was able to from there set up. And my opponent continued to dead draw the entire game. Very unfortunate for my opponent. Not the way you want to lose, but 301 at this point. Round 5, I hit Dingo. So the the line in this matchup is to try to attack with Mind Bend before they can take a knockout with Cosmic Beam. Um, so that's usually the line in this matchup. However, game 1, my opponent started Mega Mawile, so since there was already the EX in play, he just went ahead and benched a bunch of Goldengos and was not able to piece together an attack for a few turns. Um, and since his start was too slow, I was able to just prize race him from there. And in game 2, I started Mew, but he started Genesect, and I was able to just take the first 2 um, because both of us had started 2 prizers, and I had a much stronger start than my opponent, so I was able to take that one. Um, Round 6, I hit Terrabox. Game 1, my opponent went first, had a pretty perfect first turn for Terrabox, using Fan Call for double Hootoo Knock Towel, and then having Wellspring attach pass in the active. I had started Monkey, and the only playable card in my hand was a Nest Ball, so um, if I Nest Balled for routes, then I probably just lose on the spot because my opponent just goes Knock Towel for Ultra Ball, Boss, Ultra Ball for another Knock Towel, and grab out Vessel Sparkling Crystal. So I would lose if I just grabbed a route. So the best I could do was Nest Ball for Monkey and pass. And then my opponent just went Knock Towel for Crispin Vitality Bend, and I lost anyways. Um, so I don't think there was anything I could do that first game. The best I could do was just grab the monkey and hope to top deck something like a Lilies the next turn. And then games 2 and 3 were pretty much the same thing, where I was able to just um, I was able to well, I basically got both of my routes board wiped both games, and then I was able to eventually make a comeback by using Iono and disrupting my opponent, and then taking some knockouts. And my opponent was not able to piece together the attacks needed to close out the game. Game 3, I did nearly make a misplay where I almost used Arven accidentally after playing an Iono. Luckily, my opponent did stop me before that became a problem. So huge shout out to him because that was very nice. Because if I had used the Arven, I probably would have gotten a double prize loss and lost the game. Round 7, I hit Robin Scholes, the 2018 world champion. So, um, yeah, so this is definitely not going to be an easy match by any means because I am playing against a world champion. So, anyone who's able to win worlds has to be very talented at the game. Game 1, my opponent had a pretty slow start, um, and I was able to just take an early prize lead. And the game came down to I had 1 prize card, and my opponent had 4, and he Iono'd me to 1, and he could either attack with Mega Absol or Yveltal, to retreat lock my monkey for a turn. And he went for Yveltal, which was a misplay because that just gave me game on board because the Yveltal was poisoned because he had to Pecharunt into it. Um, I think his Latias might have been prized or something. So he had to Pecharunt into Yveltal, and I just had Dark on my monkey, so I just went Adrena Brain 30, Psychic Embrace, and Mind Bend, and then it died to Poison. He should have used Claw of Darkness instead, and I probably still would have won because I had multiple outs in my deck to win the game, and I had like Mew on board, um, and there were just so many outs. And even if I whiffed, I still could try again next turn because it would be impossible for him to take 3 prizes the next turn. So, kind of a misplay from him there, I would say. However, I ended up winning game one, and then game two came down to time was called on my turn. I had 4 prizes, and my opponent had two, so I was not able to win that turn. The best I could do was Iono and Mindbend the Mega Absol because um, because there was no missed energy on the Absol, and he had one of the two mobility Pokemon. I don't remember which one, but it was one of those two. Um, so he needed to find Boss and the other one to guarantee the win, or if he finds just Boss, he can win the game on a coin flip. So off the Iono on the last turn of time, he found Boss and he flips the coin, and it was Tails. So very fortunate for me because that coin flip decided whether I would win or tie this match, and I ended up winning. Um, so sorry about that, but um, yeah. So at this point, I am 601, beating a world champion. And it looks like he actually made top 32 as well. Looks like I was his only loss in this tournament. Um, but yeah, round 8 was Sarah Ledge. Pretty good matchup for me. Um, both games were kind of just I was able to win the prize race. My opponent wasn't able to find the jamming tower and the Briar on the crucial turns, and I ended up just winning 2-0. Um, so 7-0-1 in phase one. The next round was against Polt Dusknoir. Game one, I set up normally, and I won. Game two, I prized all 3 of my routes. Game two, which was incredibly unlucky, and I was able to take 2 prizes with Mindbend, but still no routes. So I had all 3 routes in my last 4 prize cards, which I don't even know the odds of that, but it can be good. And then my opponent was able to just like go Dusclops, Dusknoir, Iono, and pretty much just board wipe everything. Um, I did get kind of close to winning just by attaching to like monkeys and Clefairy and stuff, but in the end, I was not able to get that one. And in game three, I just bricked pretty hard. My opponent wasn't even able to get Badoo into the active until like turn 3 or 4, I want to say. However, my hand was just super dead at the beginning, so it didn't even matter. He was just able to eventually draw out of the poor setup before I was, and I lost, unfortunately. The next round was against Jellygardy, which I think is just a bad matchup overall. I lost this one 0-2. Um, I don't think I really could have played much better in the games themselves. I think I navigated the matchup pretty well, but it's just such a bad matchup for me. I kind of made a um, I kind of made a decision at the beginning of the or before the tournament to not respect Jellygardy because I didn't expect many of the best players to be playing it. So, that was kind of on me because I predicted that wrong, and a lot of the best players ended up picking up this deck for the tournament. So I definitely should have included maybe an Iron Bundle or something. That would be maybe the one thing I would reconsider if I played the tournament again, but I ended up losing that one. However, if I win the next 4, I can still make cut. The next round was against Charizard. Game one, I lost the flip and had to go first. I opened Mew and my hand was pretty dead, so I was looking at my hand and I knew it was going to have to be one of those hands where I would have to thin all the cards out of my hand and use restart to see if I can draw anything. And then my opponent just flipped over a clef key, and I'm like, okay, I'm cooked here. Um, so yeah, I um, I ended up scooping that one pretty fast. And in game two, I made a really big misplay where I went. There was a turn where I went double Mindbend on a Duskull, or sorry, double Adrenabrain to kill a Duskull, and then Mindbended the Tatsugiri to set up for a knockout later on. What I should have done though was Screamtail the Pidgeot, and then the next turn go Iono, Screamtail the Pidgeot, knock it out. Um, so just knock it out over 2 turns, and that would play around Countercatcher, and it would take the Pidgeot off the board as soon as possible. However, I don't know why I didn't go for that. That possibly would have won me the game, but anyways, I just played bad that game, so I really can't blame variance or anything. I definitely could have won that round if I had played better. Um, and then maybe could have even made top cut. But anyways, the next round was Guardy. Um, I think this list is like 57 of the same cards that my list was. He plays the second Artisan over the Mystery Garden, and then it looks like he's playing the Turo instead of E-Switch, and then fourth Vessel over third Charm. Anyways, both games were pretty much just me setting up better and winning the Monkey War. Um, in this matchup, it's really just whoever can get more monkeys established by the end of the game. So it's just Screamtail spamming the monkeys, and yeah, I was just able to get ahead on that. The next round, I hit Alex Shemansky, another very good player, EUIC champion from a few years ago. Game 1, I once again played pretty terribly. I didn't play around Tool Scraper, and I ended up losing pretty hard to that. Game 2, I played much better, and I was able to win, which I think I am definitely favored in this matchup if I play well and I can set up. And then Game 3 did not conclude. Um, Neither of us had offered a gentleman's agreement or anything. However, I wish I had because I think my I think my board state was pretty favorable um, in game 3. So I probably would have won that one on a gentleman's agreement, but yeah. Anyways, the next round was Terrabox with Pidgeot. This is my winning in for top 128, I think. Because if you look at my matchups, I went from being in contention to get top cut here for round 11. I lost that one, so now I'm playing for like a top 64, tied here. So now I can maybe hit top 128, and then I lost, so I ended up top 256. Things went downhill very quickly. I don't think I played this matchup badly per se. Um, my opponent kind of was just able to find everything he needed every turn to attack with whichever attacker he needed. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how that one went. Um, Kind of unfortunate. Very underwhelming day 2. However, I'll take away what I can from this tournament and use it to improve for the next one. But I do appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the very end, please consider subscribing. Also join my Discord server as well as my Metafy group, which will be in the description down below. And I will see you guys. Have a blessed one.